Welcome to Barcelona, welcome to MotoGP headquarters. We're live ahead of this special After the Flag. The countdown to Qatar well and truly underway. We're just 17 days away from the first MotoGP of 2018 under those spectacular Losail International Circuit floodlights, and the teams and riders that have been in Doha all day on this opening day and night of this third and final pre-season test, making those final preparations ahead of that crucial first round of the World Championship. Now, just a small apology, we're slightly late than what we planned to be. A few technical issues we had connecting between Barcelona and Doha, but we're delighted that you can join us now live for a couple of hours of reaction and debate and discussion about this opening night in Qatar. Now, you might have been tuning in expecting to see myself, Matt Burt, and my colleague Steve Day bringing you this special After the Flag. Well, unfortunately, the British weather has almost beaten Miss today, but not quite. He's actually en route. He's at 38,000 feet. We expect to see Steve on terra firma and hopefully joining us later on in the studio for his analysis and insight into this opening night. And of course, we'll be joining our new panellist, Simon Crafer, on site at the Losail International Circuit very, very shortly. The local time in Doha is just coming up to 5 to 9 in the evening. It's 5 to 7 Central European time. The track closing at the end of an intriguing opening first day of action. And I'm delighted to say I can see on screen now our new resident pundit, Simon Crafer, ready to join us live from the Losail International Circuit pit lane. Simon, great to see you. It feels like a role reversal. I'm here in the studio this time. You're out there in pit lane. First of all, welcome back to the MotoGP World Championship. It must have been a special feeling for you being back in the paddock today.
Oh, exactly, Matt. I'm honestly so happy to be back in the paddock, you know, feel so at home. Also, the speed of these bikes, it's only been a few months since I saw them at Valencia, but you forget they are shocking fast, you know. And the first couple of hours on track, they didn't actually use. It was a strange situation, like to be speaking to riders at the back of the paddock in their civilian clothes, and the track pit lane was open. But they explained to me that there isn't a point trying the track at a different hour than where they're going to come here to race and qualify in. So they've pretty much left that time. Then the first couple of hours on track, all of the riders I spoke to and teams said that the track took a couple of hours to come to them, meaning they said they did a good job. I guessed it was sand, you know, which is a problem here. They said no, the sand they did a good job of cleaning, the organisers, but it takes a couple of hours to get rubber down when there's only one class out there, to get rubber down for the track to come to them and feel good. Well, at least have some grip. Then I also spoke to, for example, Petrucci's guys said it was he found it confusing to ride in the heat, you know, through the afternoon and then go through sunset to cold track temperatures, which he said the tyres felt so different, it was confusing for him, and I can really relate to that, but they've got to do it, and when the race comes here.
You know, just seeing some pictures from earlier on live at the Losail International Circuit and Qatar. You might see on that graphic as well, it's been a welcome return to form for the factory Yamaha man Maverick Viñales, who struggled somewhat in those first two tests of the year in Malaysia and in Thailand. But we know that the Yamaha works exceptionally well around the Doha circuit. In fact, Yamaha have been victorious in Qatar in 5 over the last 6 years. What's been the early feedback, Simon, on the performance of the track and certainly the tyres? It looks like the lap time as Maverick Viñales is 1:55.053, pretty impressive. Viñales actually topped this corresponding test in Qatar 1 year ago with a 1:54.330, so they're only 0.7 of a second outside the best pace set last year, so it all bodes well to a pretty fast test on.
I'm sorry I didn't catch all of that, Matt, with the noise of the bikes and a bit of breakup, but yeah, the things I've noticed are, you're right, they're getting down to work pretty fast. Pedrosa having 2 crashes, you know, today on the first day. He's obviously pushing hard. The first one, he rode back to the pit lane. The second one, the bike was not good. He got a lift back, but he seems fine from what I can see. Then also Rabat went down. The guys are pushing. The only other thing that I've noticed is a couple of them mentioned out of turn 1 going to turn 2, the direction of the wind really affected them. Felt like getting pushed around and not trusting the front in there. Oh, Pedrosa did crash on that corner. Otherwise, one other thing I've seen is the fairings they're running. Most of the teams, not KTM, but most of the teams have used the wings as their base setting. So they're running them all the time and occasionally try the fairings with no wings, which is quite interesting. Not everyone agrees with that decision, talking to mechanics and stuff, but that's what they're doing. So it's quite interesting. Some of the rookies have left non-winged fairings on. I think they're letting them get up to speed and hopefully not destroying them while they're learning the track and the new bikes. But that's pretty much what I've noticed going on today.
Just talking generally, Simon, as the clock ticks down, just over 2 minutes now of this first night of testing in Qatar. Maverick Viñales actually does still lead the way with that 1:55.053, as it's been throughout winter testing so far in Malaysia and in Thailand. Very, very close on the time sheet. I'm just having a quick glance. Andrea Dovizioso and Andrea Iannone, the two Italians immediately behind Maverick Viñales, split by less than half a tenth. So it looks like it's going to be another incredibly close 3 days of action in Qatar. Just talking generally, Simon, about this test, of course, there's only 3 days left before the teams get fighting for those first 25 points of the World Championship campaign. So are we seeing this week teams primarily focus exclusively on finding a setup for the race in 2 weeks' time, or are we still finding a few teams and factories experimenting with some new parts? It seems like Suzuki, they're pretty well set with their GSX-RR package, but I guess Honda still trying to find final confirmation on their engine selection. They tried that carbon fibre swing arm, of course, throughout winter testing. It looks like while the prime focus may still be on sorting out a few parts for the new season, it looks like the main focus this week is to get that crucial race setting for the Grand Prix on March the 18th.
Again, Matt, I have to apologise. I didn't catch all of that as the bikes come past. They're so loud. But yeah, I think you're right. The feeling here is the real shakedown. The clock's ticking. We're about to go racing, and they're about to go racing here. So people it looks like less experimenting, more let's get a race set up and let's get ready to race, for the next weeks. That is my feeling.
Yeah, and as you say, Simon, 2 crashes today. Quite unusual to hear that from Dani Pedrosa, who's been so strong, we know, throughout winter testing. Very, very strong, fast and consistent when the testing campaign resumed at the Sepang International Circuit in late January. And of course, Dani Pedrosa, that late charge in Buriram a couple of weeks ago, put him top of the leaderboard in Thailand. I wonder, Simon, if we're perhaps going to see this as a more challenging test maybe for Dani Pedrosa. We know that Dani, being as light as he is with that diminutive stature...
I'm really sorry, Matt. I can't hear exactly what you're saying. Do you mind, because I can't hear, I'll just fire a couple of other things that I've seen here, is... reference points, like for example, I got a lift around with the MotoGP race director before the track opened, and there's 3 sections where it heads back looking at the main pit, and there is pretty much nothing else that you can see out here in the middle of the desert, and it's flat. So all you see is the light towers, braking markers, and 3 times you head back to the pit and you see that pit, and it's so confusing which of those 3 times it is, because it all looks the same. And I think it's why it takes a bit of time for the riders to get back up to speed here.
Yeah, we're actually just looking at some footage grabbed by on-the-spot cameraman, as always, of Dani Pedrosa. One of Dani Pedrosa's 2 crash Repsol Honda say. That second one there looked like quite a big one. Covers over the bike, as always. The team's not willing to reveal any secrets. Now, the test on this opening night has just finished, and it looks like Maverick Viñales has rediscovered his winning touch. Of course, Viñales was victorious on his Yamaha debut in the Qatar Grand Prix 12 months ago. So hopefully, Simon, we'll be able to come back to you very, very shortly. And that's quietened down a little bit under those spectacular International Circuit floodlights. Although, having said that, I've just heard another bike whiz down that long start-finish straight. So, as it stands, a welcome return, as we say, return to form for Maverick Viñales, who's been strangely out of sorts throughout winter testing. It seems like the Yamaha has all kinds of problems. We know in hot conditions last year in Sepang and in Thailand throughout this winter testing, the Yamaha has struggled. Maverick Viñales finding it difficult actually even to find himself in that top 10, and Valentino Rossi also struggling as well, struggling with different issues it seems, as we look at some live pictures now from the Losail International Circuit in Qatar. Valentino Rossi just about to, I think, come and join our guys in Doha. I think we can now listen to Valentino Rossi's reactions from this opening day in Qatar.
The real time it comes in 15 days in this circuit, and after the first day testing here, how do you feel?
Not so bad. The first day was quite good. We are always very, very close. At the end, I think I am in sixth position, so it's nothing fantastic. But in this track, I feel better, and from the first moment, I feel better compared to Thailand. So I think I was quite competitive in Sepang. A little bit more problem in Thailand. Here in Qatar is more similar to Sepang, fortunately. But looks like also this year can change a lot between one track and another, because depends very much in which way you make work the tires. So sometimes you have to suffer, some other times maybe you have to be stronger.
Okay, one in Italian. Okay.
Well, Valentino, come è andata la giornata?
Well, certainly sounds like Valentino Rossi a little bit happier with life on track in Qatar. As he said, by his own admission, Buriram was a very difficult test. Those extreme hot conditions in Thailand making it very difficult. Certainly for Valentino on the corner exit, he felt that they were still struggling with the electronic setup of that factory Yamaha Wistar M1. But it's well worth mentioning, of course, Maverick Viñales has topped the timesheets at the end of this opening night in Qatar. We do know that if there's one circuit on the calendar that suits the sweet handling characteristics of that Wistar M1, it is right here in Qatar. In fact, they've won 5 of the last 6 Grand Prix. Confirmation then on your screens now. Maverick Viñales, a Spanish rider, the race winner in Qatar 12 months ago. That unforgettable debut for the factory Yamaha team. 155.053 then putting Viñales top of the time sheet ahead of last year's World Championship runner-up Andrea Dovizioso from the factory Ducati. Good start to the proceedings for the Suzuki rider Andrea Iannone. Difficult first couple of tests for him. Iannone up there in 3rd place. He did lead the way actually earlier on. Johan Zarco, been so much talk about the Tech 3 Yamaha team. We'll be touching on that, of course, a little bit later on. Zarco 4th. Jorge Lorenzo. Well, Lorenzo fans will be happy. He's back to form up there in 5th place after that disastrous 3-day test in Thailand. Alex Rins showing good form again in 6th place. Rossi, who we just heard from there briefly in Qatar, in 7th place, ahead of Danilo Petrucci on the Pramac Ducati, and Cal Crutchlow there in 9th place on the factory Honda. Cal Crutchlow actually the top Honda rider. As you can see, the reigning world champion Marc Marquez in 10th with a 1:55.545. But I'd imagine that Marquez certainly hasn't gone for the time attack. An eventful start to this Qatar test for Dani Pedrosa then. 11th on the time sheet, the quickest man in Thailand, but 2 crashes for Pedrosa. Jack Miller's been so impressive, of course, the Australian on that Pramac Ducati there in 12th, ahead of Bautista. Taka Nakagami again, the top rookie there in 14th place. Great job by the Japanese rider. Scott Redding 15th, he was the leader, brilliant man on the opening night, ahead of Tita Rabat. Redding's teammate Aleix Espargaro there with a 1:56.062, putting him 17th. That placed him just ahead of Carol Abraham. Good news for the factory KTM team with Pol Espargaro back in action this week. Of course, he missed the final day in Malaysia and missed the whole of the Thailand test after that huge crash on day 2 in Sepang. He was 19th, just ahead of his teammate Bradley Smith. Franco Morbidelli was 21st. He had a late fall actually as well, the Italian. Hafiz Syrin, of course, confirmed since Thailand that he is now the permanent replacement for Jonas Folger in the Tech 3 Yamaha team. Syrin still acquainting himself to that Wistar M1. He was 22nd, ahead of the 2 other rookies, Tom Luthi, last year's Moto2 World Championship runner-up, and Xavier Simeon on the 2nd of the Avintia Ducati. So the opening night in Qatar then belonged to Maverick Viñales, and he will certainly be happy. It certainly sounded like Valentino Rossi, his teammate, was a little bit happy with life as well. As we said, Valentino, it does seem like it could be a really unpredictable 2018 MotoGP World Championship. We saw, didn't we, in the first test in Malaysia, Jorge Lorenzo, outstanding, set that brilliant 1:58.8 in Sepang, the fastest ever 2-wheel lap we've ever seen in Malaysia. It all looks rosy in the garden. Well, we can now go live to the man who was quickest in Qatar, Maverick Viñales. He's out talking to our guys in Doha.
Well, Maverick, after finishing Thailand, you were like a bit pissed, but today I think that the feelings changed, and looking forward to the race here also.
Well, yes, we were looking for improve the front part of the bike, because in Thailand I didn't feel so well. I didn't feel confidence to push, and today looks like we improved that area, because on the beginning I didn't feel well with the bike, but after make many setups I feel better. I could push more the front, and the lap times were coming step by step better. I was feeling good, consistent on the bike, but still need to improve some areas, especially to speed corner and the acceleration. So tomorrow we want to focus more on that and continue improving the bike.
Did both Yamaha or you made like a final decision on something, on some parts of the bike to make a step ahead?
Not yet, not yet. Finally we are trying to find the best bike we can. Difficult because looks like Thailand was just doing laps. We didn't improve nothing, even we get worse. So I mean, here we're gonna try to go step by step and trying to improve the bike since the first day until the end.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, he might not look it, but I'm sure he was actually pretty happy with his performance on track today, Maverick Viñales, and quickest, as we say, with that 1:55 flat. So we shouldn't be too surprised, as we say. He's been super, super strong previously. A former Moto3 winner he was in Qatar, race winner 12 months ago in Doha. It does seem like it's going to be based on track to track for the Yamaha. Strong and competitive, it looked like, certainly from Rossi's point of view in Malaysia. Both of them struggling for form last time out in Thailand, but Viñales has topped the timesheets, as we said, ahead of Andrea Dovizioso on that factory Ducati. So Viñales looks like he is finding his feet somewhat. It's been a very difficult test, certainly in Thailand and in Malaysia. We can go back live to the pit lane at Losail International Circuit in Qatar for a little catch-up again with our resident man on the spot, Simon Crafer. Simon, what's been the feeling in Qatar about today's performance from Maverick Viñales? We do know, as we've said before tonight, they've won 5 of the last 6 MotoGP races there. It's a circuit that does seem to suit that bike, and it certainly seems to suit Maverick Viñales. Can you put your finger on why?
Matt, I agree with everything you said there. It suits him. They've got a good setting from last year. You know, he did so well here. But I think when you ask what is the feeling, I think it's the same as mine, in that it's all going to change, you know, like every test. I think he's obviously got straight up to speed quickly. It's great to see also Lorenzo doing the same, you know, after the Thai test. But I think as the times come down, and it gets more and more competitive, there's going to be a couple others float to the top, you know, and I think it'll change tomorrow and the third day. So Yamaha have had a good day today. The Rossi's guys told me that they were going to stop at 8 o'clock. There's no point because they don't race after that time. And I think it's going to change tomorrow. That's my feeling. So none of them will be, you know, going, oh, we did it today.
Well, it's been a very busy time for Yamaha, certainly with their independent team, the Monster Yamaha Tech 3 team. They've been creating all kinds of headlines over the last couple of weeks. Firstly, of course, with Hafiz Syahrin replacing Jonas Folger on a permanent basis, and the big news emerging after the Thailand test, incredible news really, catching many people by surprise, that Hervé Poncharal and the Tech 3 Yamaha team will end their 20-year association with Yamaha at the end of this season. All kinds of rumours about what the future for the Tech 3 Yamaha team will do. We'll come on to that a little bit later, and we've got some footage actually coming up very shortly with Johan Zarco talking about his feelings about that. But Simon, other things to talk about on this opening day. What's caught your eye? Actually, sorry, Simon, before we come to that, we can actually now we'll come to that very, very shortly. My apologies, Simon. We are just going to now get an interview with Hafiz Syahrin where he talks about the fact that he's now Jonas Folger's permanent replacement in the Monster Yamaha Tech 3 team for 2018. Well, we might be able to bring you some reaction from Hafiz Syahrin a little bit later on. We're actually looking at pictures of the Malaysian and Johan Zarco. As we said, it's been a very intense and busy period for the Tech 3 Yamaha team. The major announcement, the shock announcement, catching many people by surprise that the Tech 3 Yamaha team have now split, or they will split at the end of the 2018 MotoGP World Championship from Yamaha. They've been Yamaha's independent team since the year 2000. Of course, they won the World 250cc World Championship with Olivier Jacques back in 1999. Now, all kinds of speculation, of course, that leads to about what Yamaha will be doing in terms of a satellite team. Seems like they've got options possibly with Avintia, Marc Marquez and maybe Aspar. And what about the future of this man on your screens now, Johann Zarco? Of course, there's been all kinds of rumours pre-season that he will possibly be making a move to KTM. Will Yamaha make big attempts to keep him? Will Yamaha, in actual fact, with Tech 3 moving, actually have a satellite team next year? It's all a fascinating and intriguing prospect. Gives us plenty to talk about ahead of that first Grand Prix. Simon, you're the man on the ground at the moment in Qatar. Well, first of all, how's Johann Zarco performed today? I think 4th place. He's been superb throughout this winter testing. And what's the vibe in the paddock about the Tech 3 announcement? I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. And any indication as yet about maybe what Tech 3 will be doing next year in terms of an announcement about their plans and who may be taking their place, the Yamaha independent team? There's a lot to get through when we talk about Yamaha.
Yeah, firstly, Juan's results again today, he's consistently good, and I think that all fits with the point that I think Tech 3 is most likely going to KTM. I mean, that's the general feeling. It's all whispers and gossip, I know, but the thing is, once Tech 3 are with KTM, I think there's a really good chance with KTM's money to keep Johann Zarco, you know, and he's at the point now that he needs to be paid like the top boys, and Tech 3 can't keep him, you know, from that money, and you know what I mean, the lure of money of a factory team without full factory effort. And I believe if it is KTM, they've got a shot at keeping Johann there. That's what I would be doing if I was KTM. So that's my feeling on it. It's all hearsay, but
yeah, it does seem to be pointing towards a Tech 3 KTM deal potentially for 2019, something that we're going to be keeping on top of course, throughout while we wait that announcement. Now, of course, there's so much interest in the future of Johann Zarco. He was the rookie revelation in 2017, almost won that final Grand Prix last year in Valencia after that great fight down to the last lap with Dani Pedrosa. Now, how does the Tech 3 split from Yamaha affect the Frenchman? Well, we caught up with him briefly in Qatar to find out.
My situation doesn't change. I have my target to fight in the front with my Yamaha bike, with Tech 3 team this year. So at the moment I'm focused on it, and what's happened around for next year is not my job. My job is to work now and focus on the present.
Well, as always, Johann Zarco playing it pretty cool. They're not giving too much away. Of course, he's focusing on the present, and the present has been very good to him tonight in Qatar. 4th place on the timesheet. It's going to be fascinating. Will he think that he can stay with Yamaha even though Tech 3 are splitting? Will there be an independent Yamaha team, or will? There's lots of rumours and speculation right now that Johann Zarco will find himself in the factory KTM team next year. Again, another fascinating subplot that we can carry on or chase throughout the next few weeks. Now, we talked a little bit earlier on about Repsol Honda. They'll be busy trying to finalise their final engine package. We know that Cal Crutchlow, Dani Pedrosa and the reigning world champion Marc Marquez have been working exclusively in the first 2 tests on 2 different engine specs. Marquez and Pedrosa have also been putting in crucial development laps on that carbon fibre swing arm. And we can now hear live from the world champion in Qatar.
And you know, Honda gave me the opportunity when I was 20 years old in 2013, and yeah, was the main priority. I was waiting. We already speak a long time ago, but I was waiting to start the season in a good way, to see how was the team, and yeah, I really like it. I enjoy it. I feel happy. Is the most important. So yeah, straight away we follow We follow a good way, and yeah, it's good to, before to start the season, already forget one thing and concentrate on the season.
Let's talk about the bike. Malaysia and Thailand already in the test. How's the bike improved? What's the strengths and weaknesses of it?
Yeah, of course. We need to keep improving and try to find a few things. Of course, Malaysia was on Buriram special conditions. Here is completely different. Here is a circuit that normally we struggle. But anyway, I felt not so bad. I start. We have some weak points, but we improve a few points today. So tomorrow continue on the same plan and try to be competitive, of course, and try to be constant every racetrack.
That's great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Well, Marc, Qatar is always like a tricky circuit for you or Honda. Are you worried about that, or in what way are you going to work tomorrow?
Yeah, of course, maybe on the plan, on the results of the past, Qatar is not one of the best circuits for us, but anyway, I like it, I enjoy it, so yeah, we will see tomorrow, last day. Of course, looks like here all Yamaha riders are quite strong, but anyway, first day we need to wait, we need to find the setup. Today we work a lot on the electronic to find a base setup, and then tomorrow we will start to go more deep in a few details.
How changed to come from Sepang and Thailand, like a lot of warm, and now here on the night, like the cold temperatures?
Yeah, of course. I mean, for the riders, it's same. I mean, when you arrive there in Thailand and Malaysia, is much worse. Here, you can ride, and physical condition is less demanding. But anyway, for the bike, it's important because you know, for the character of the engine, here maybe is even more critical than that two circuits, and we need to work and we need to find the way to be smoother and try to be constant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to the reigning world champion Marc Marquez. The perfect time to join him, wasn't it, in Qatar? 2 interviews for the price of one. Who says we don't bring you great value here? So yeah, interesting there, Marc Marquez then talking about some other big news. It's been so much news already. We haven't even turned the wheel in anger in this 2018 MotoGP World Championship. Marc Marquez recently reconfirming a 2-year contract with the Repsol Honda team. And as he said, why not do it? He was happy with the performance of the Honda throughout winter testing. He's very, very comfortable inside HRC. So he did not want any outside distractions. His key goal this year, of course, is to retain that MotoGP World Championship. He didn't want to start the season in 2 weeks' time and move forward through Argentina, Austin, Jerez, and then into the European season, being incessantly asked questions about his future. So no surprise to see Marc Marquez signing a new 2-year contract with Honda. Of course, the second big name rider, shall we say, who's already confirmed his plans for the next 2 years. Maverick Viñales, before we'd actually even started winter testing in Sepang, he signed a new contract with Yamaha. We can cross live again now back to Qatar. Simon, interested to get your thoughts on Marc Marquez. We all kind of expected him to renew his contract with HRC. He's happy with the team. He's happy with the bike. Certainly happy with the improvements the Honda have made with the 2018 bike. And you know what it's like. If you're in a situation where the media are constantly harassing and haranguing you, asking about your future, I guess it can be a distraction. So for Marc, who's already got so much pressure to defend that World Championship, to get it all out of the way now, it makes perfect sense.
It does. It does. The team manager put it perfectly at Thailand. We're not worrying about Marc right now. We're doing the job, getting the bike really good, so good that he'll want to stay. And that was perfectly done, wasn't it? You know, the bike looks so strong in the last 2 tests and here. And really, Marc, he, in my opinion, and I'm sure a lot of others, Marc made that bike win last year, you know, and you know that I don't think it actually deserved to, especially early on, and he just made the bike win the championship, you know. And sure, there was mistakes from other people, but can you imagine how good he's going to be when he's got a really good bike and he's as focused as he is right now? He's going to be, I think, really hard, very hard to stop.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Simon. Yeah, he's a man that's going to be very hard to stop. Many people's pre-season favourite already, isn't he, Marc Marquez? I mean, that's hardly sticking your neck on the line when you say that he's won 4 of the last 5 MotoGP World Championships. We've seen some footage here earlier on, actually, of Marquez tackling that Losail International Circuit in Qatar. Simon, Marc Marquez, 10th on the timesheets today. He's not going to be worried about that at all, is he? He won't be panicked. He's just going through the testing program, trying to get comfortable and making crucial final decisions about the engine spec, about the fairing, and more importantly, about that carbon fibre swing arm. I don't know if he ran that actually today, but there's still work to do for the world champion before he worries about going for the time attack.
Well, exactly why I was saying that there's other guys going to float to the top later in the test. It's the first day. They're, like I already mentioned, they're all getting up to speed. They are choosing the time of day to run, you know, and running through tyres and settings. And yeah, I think tomorrow you've got to see Marc, you know, float to the top of that timesheet. And the main one is the day after, but they've got to get through a lot of work tomorrow before they get to day 3. Something else for you to keep an eye out here. I was talking to some of the tyre guys, some of the teams, curious about what tyres they're running, and for the test and planning for the race, the hard tyre from last year no longer exists, and the medium from last year is now the hard, so the whole range has come down. And when I spoke to Rossi's guys, they'd only run the softer 2, especially when the track wasn't completely up to. So all I'm saying is don't take note of what the tyres are marked, because they're actually from other races where they could be marked something completely different. So don't take notice of the markings on the tyres. Apart from that, I think the excitement is building for tomorrow and day 3. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, we can't wait for days 2 and 3 as well, Simon. Of course, Honda, it's not all just about Marc Marquez, the reigning world champion. They've got Danny Pedrosa, Cal Crutchlow, Taka Nakagami, Franco Morbidelli and Tom Luthi also on their books, fighting for their own personal glory this year. I think the riders, or certainly 4 of the Honda riders, have been busy on circuit as well in Qatar today also. There was some special photo shoots that took place. These are live images now in Qatar. We can see the 2017 Moto2 World Championship runner-up Tom Luthi just posing with a few fans who've been lucky enough to get paddock passes into the Qatar test tonight. But as I say, it's not only on the circuit that these riders are very busy making preparations. The 4 HRC riders, Cal Crutchlow, Marc Marquez, Danny Pedrosa and Taka Nakagami, were together on track earlier on today under the sun-drenched Qatar skies, taking part in a special photo shoot. Taka Nakagami on the left-hand side of your picture has been really impressive since he jumped from the Idemitsu Honda Team Asia Moto2 squad, and he's going to get a lot of help from his LCR Honda teammate Cal Crutchlow. There is Danny Pedrosa. Well, his day started pretty well with his photo shoot on the grid. It didn't end pretty well. They did it unfortunately for Pedrosa. As we heard Simon Crayford telling us earlier on, the Spanish rider having 2 crashes. Taka Nakagami was once again today the top rookie on circuit, so it's been an outstanding job so far. I think actually while we're talking about the LCR Hondas, and this man on your screens right now, Cal Crutchlow, we can go live to the Losail International Circuit where Mr. Crutchlow is waiting to talk to us about his first day. Yeah, Cal is thinking about coming to talk to us. Yeah, he's just coming to the backdrop for the LCR Honda team, getting exposure for all the sponsors. And we can now go to Qatar and listen to Cal's
here of test in Losail in Qatar, where the first race of the season will be held in 15 days. How do you feel here at night?
Yeah, I feel good. Please excuse my mechanic Joanne with his air blower. He's making a lot of noise. No. I'm very happy with today's test. I feel good on the bike. The team worked well, but as you know, it's a tricky condition out here in the night. Sometimes the track is not in great condition, but it seemed in not too bad condition. But then it come cold. We got through our testing schedule for today, and we were very happy with the way it went.
Which is the plan for tomorrow? In which areas are you going to focus?
Well, if I told you that, I'd be telling you all the secrets. But we'll focus on riding the bike and trying to do a good job, I suppose. But so far so good, and we have a plan tomorrow to work through some different settings with the bike, because essentially, as you know, the bike is the same as last year. It's just we have a different engine, so we have to try and make the best package.
What about to try to do the race distance? Is important? Are you going to try it during this test?
No, I have no interest to do that, because then you show everybody what you're doing and what your pace is. Leave it to the unknown, I suppose.
And can you explain like the difference between ride during the day and hot warm in Qatar, and then suddenly goes night, and then?
I would love to be able to explain it to you, but I didn't go out until it was dark. With the tyre allocation that Michelin brought today, was not good for anybody. But we decided to stay in the garage until as late as possible, because we know that the race is at night at least. I know FP3 and maybe FP1 is in the daylight, and we'll try maybe tomorrow in the day.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks.
Full credit to our interviewer there, Jorge Espinos, who kept persevering with Cal Crutchlow. Now, Cal Crutchlow, of course, this year, a little bit like he did 2 years ago when Jack Miller was his teammate, is back to a two-ride lineup in the LCR Honda team. We caught up with Cal Crutchlow and Taka Nakagami for their thoughts on 2018 and their thoughts on being together at LCR Honda.
It's nice to finally have a teammate again. It's difficult in MotoGP riding on your own, actually. Lucho over the years has normally always been a one-rider team, but obviously I had Jack for a year, which was a mad year, definitely. But to have Taka back, it's really good, because when you come to a Grand Prix and you've got, I don't know what we have, 30, 40, 50 staff come to a Grand Prix. If you're the only rider and you don't get a result, it's a difficult weekend.
Carl is really nice person, really helps a lot on the track and also out of the track.
In general, I will always try and help him as best as possible, but as I said, the hard thing is I don't think he really needs the help as much. He's riding very well. He knows how to ride a big bike. It's a credit to him and to Honda that they've brought him into the fold, and he's been able to do well, because there is only a handful of guys in the whole world that can ride a Honda fast, and it's as simple as that.
For me, it's a completely new experience and new challenge. So many questions to Carl. You know, doing the test. You know, also in Valencia test, also next test in Jerez. He really helps on the track. You know, I can follow him. You know, doing a few laps, and after doing the session, I asked to Carl about how is my riding. He explained about the braking, how pick up the bike. You know, really, you know, for me it's really like a teacher. You know, that he explained everything.
The Instagram process is more to put the boot into the other rookies. My job as a teammate to Taka is to try and help him beat them as well. But as I also said, I don't think he's going to need my help in the end. I think we're going to have some problems with him in maybe even this year, but definitely next year.
Well, great insight from Cal Crutchlow and his new LCR Honda teammate Taka Nakagami. It's interesting, as always, to hear from the other two British, well, the British rider and the Japanese rider. Actually, I was there in Thailand a couple of weeks ago, actually, when Cal Crutchlow was out on circuit and he was helping Taka Nakagami. He let Taka Nakagami hook him behind him and follow him for a few laps. And that, for a rookie rider, is just such precious experience. And great to see Cal Crutchlow there being a team player, as he was 2 years ago with Jack Miller also. I think we can also cross back live very, very shortly to Qatar to join again Simon Carrefour, who's doing a sterling job for us there on the ground in Qatar. We'll hopefully be able to pick up Simon again soon. But yeah, Cal Crutchlow then was the top Honda rider today. difficult start in many respects for the factory Hondas of Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa. Marquez 10th, Dani Pedrosa 11th with 2 crashes on the opening day. What did Alberto Puig, the Repsol Honda team manager, Alberto Puig, make of what happened?
Important is for Honda to have renewed Marquez till 2 more years.
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, he's a champion, and normally the reference guy is the champion. So we are very happy that we could finalize this deal, and yeah, very, very satisfied. Honda is very happy, the rider is very happy, and now we have to concentrate for the year and to see how we finalize this last test. And yeah, very happy.
What about this test? Which is the program, the plan for you?
Program is to continue the program started last year when we start to develop the new parts we want to use in the bike this year. And yeah, we had the test in Valencia, we had the test in Sepang last 2 weeks ago in Thailand. So now it's just the last test, last confirmation, and last chance to fix many things, no? So we are here, we will be focused on the job, and we hope that by Sunday night we have a more or less understanding of what is the best for our riders and our bikes.
Thank you, Alberto.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Alberto, thanks to Jorge asking the questions there in Qatar. I guess Honda had 2 main missions for 2018. One, to successfully defend the MotoGP World Championship with Marc Marquez, and to re-sign the Spanish rider on a 2-year contract. So one of those 2 major missions already completed for Honda. And as Alberto Puig said, that is crucial news going into the championship for HRC. I'm very, very happy. Of course, Marc Marquez was initially linked possibly with KTM, moved to the Red Bull KTM team. Maybe that was more paper talk and media gossip. But we'll be keeping a close eye on the progress and fortunes of the reigning world champion throughout the final 2 nights of this crucial final test. Now, what about Suzuki? Seems like it's been a really, really encouraging winter testing program for them. Certainly when you talk about Alex Rins on his side of the box. We'll talk a little bit more about Suzuki perhaps in a little while. Simon, back with you in Qatar. I just wanted to again touch on Marc Marquez. Do you think that there was any sort of mileage, any serious truth in the possibility of him potentially joining KTM? He's always been a Honda man, we know that, in the MotoGP World Championship. It would have seemed strange for me personally for him to have made a move at this time when he is so happy and doing so well on the bike.
I think if I was KTM and Red Bull, I would want him on the bike. You know, I'd be very surprised if they didn't put a very attractive deal to Marc, because that's what KTM need is someone to, and what the championship needs. But you know, at this stage of Marc's career, he wants to win again. He wants, you know, I could see him doing something like that in a few years, and especially when KTM proves they're stronger, you know, it's more attractive to him. But at this stage, he's going to want to win another championship, you know. Speaking of Honda, and I went on a little mission to find out why the guys on the Marc VDS bikes aren't as competitive as Tucker and aren't, you know what I'm saying, showing the same potential, because their track record is extremely good, and they're a really good team to chat to. The Marc VDS guys, really nice fellas. Then when you put it all together, they're on the 217 Honda. And as I said before, I don't think that bike deserved to win the championship last year. I think Marc made it. That's only my opinion. And then they're on that bike with less of the factory support when it comes to electronics and setup. There's 2 rookies on it, not an experienced guy steering them on setup wise. And then you look across at Nakagami, and yeah, Carl can big him up, because I totally agree, he's doing incredibly. But I think he'll have a little bit more modern machinery, a little bit more access, you know, like Carl, to factory, you know, electronic setup, and you know what I'm saying. So I think that was my little discovery, or try what I wanted to do today, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. We touched a little bit on briefly about Suzuki. I want to bring it back to them actually, because throughout winter testing, for me, one of the standout performers of this pre-season program so far has been Aleix Rins, of course, who had a pretty tough rookie year on the GSX-RR last year. Wasn't really fully fit until the final third of the season, and it's been a very positive start to proceedings in Qatar tonight. Andrea Iannone, third fastest. We shouldn't probably be too surprised about that. He did qualify on the front row of the grid in Qatar last year on his Suzuki debut, and he was running in the podium places, fighting actually with Marc Marquez inside that top three before he crashed out. Iannone third on the opening night, and Aleix Rins inside the top six. We're looking at some footage actually right now of Andrea Iannone on circuit. Simon, what's been your impressions of the performance of the two Suzuki so far in Qatar? Because it looks like the Suzuki engineers have gone back to the base that they had in 2016 when we saw the bike so strong from Maverick Viñales. For me, Aleix Rins has been a real standout performer in this winter testing campaign, and Andrea Iannone looking strong as well. It looks like Suzuki are capable of rediscovering that winning form they had in 2016.
Yeah, with two rookies, they got lost, and it's totally understandable. Two young guys, were less experienced guys coming in. This year, they've started off with Quintoli in their test program, running through things, filtering what works and what doesn't, passing it on, and then the riders get to try it. They've got another year on that bike under their belt. I don't think we saw last year everything that Rins could have done if, like for example, he'd had a more experienced teammate that on that bike that was, what I'm saying, they could follow on bike setup. And this year, I think they're in a much better place development-wise. They've been working on both engine, chassis stuff, experience rider-wise, and I'm pretty excited, as I've said in previous shows, about what Rins can do, especially because he's that one of those super talents from Moto2, and he's also his work ethic. You can see he's really serious, really focused, as well as amazing natural ability. And on the other side of the garage, I think Iannone is, only from what I've seen, a little bit less kind of interested in the testing, you know what I'm saying, like work ethic, but he's a real talent, like natural ability, and it's getting close to the race now, and he's going a bit faster, and I'm hoping when it comes race time, he's going to be with Rins, hopefully.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Simon. Yeah, it's been a very positive start to this final test under the Losail International Circuit floodlights in Qatar, with Aleix Rins inside the top six with his teammate Andrea. And only one man who'll be very happy about tonight's performance is Suzuki team boss Davide Brivio. Now, we had the chance to catch up with Davide to find out how Suzuki are preparing for this crucial final winter showdown.
Yeah, we are close to the start of the championship, and the main target of this test is to prepare the race, because we spent 6 days already, of course, or some more days considering November last year, and more or less the package is, let's say, defined. I mean, we found out at the, let's say, 90%, 95% what we're going to use on the first race in terms of engine, chassis. We have to confirm also the aerodynamic package. The new cowling that we tested in Buriram seems to work. So let's say final confirmation on the main items, and then to prepare the race with the right setting, the right confidence from the rider. So I would say preparing the race is the main target of this testing.
Preparing for the race, the main target of this test then for Suzuki. Well, they've gone about it in the perfect way with both their riders inside the top six. Andrea Iannone didn't have the best of starts to winter testing with two crashes in Sepang, and in both tests actually he's been struggling behind his teammate Aleix Rins. Aleix Rins, let's not forget, this was a rider really 3 years ago, should have won the Moto3 World Championship, had a fantastic rookie season in the Moto2 World Championship, fought Johan Zarco closely for the 2016 Moto2 title as well. So this is a young man who's got a lot of pedigree in the smaller class, and a lot of people think that Alex Rins on a competitive motorcycle will be more than capable of trying to take that Suzuki back onto the podium, where they were challenging certainly on a consistent basis with Maverick Viñales in the second half of 2016. We have to keep our fingers crossed that Alex Rins, touch wood, can stay healthy and injury free this year. That's what completely compromised Alex's first year in MotoGP last year on that factory Suzuki. Once he was fully fit though, as we look at some footage of Alex riding the Losail International Circuit earlier on, once Alex found himself healthy and fully fit, cast your minds back to those last 6 Grand Prix of the year, and he was able to run inside the top 6 in those wet and dry conditions as well. And of course he had that great fight from 14th to 4th place in Valencia. So we expect big things from Alex Rins this year. And what about his teammate, 3rd on the timesheets in Qatar tonight? And we can hear live from Andrea Iannone.
Well, Andrea, first day of test, of the last test of the season here at Losail. Last year you were in the front row. It's the circuit that you like. Which are your feelings?
In general, for me, every track, every circuit are very beautiful. I don't have a special track. In any case, I think we start very well during this test. The feeling with the bike is very good, especially with the front. And from the first test this year, I struggled a lot with the front feeling, and in Sepang, in Thailand. And now today here, I have a very good feeling. I possibly push really hard, and the bike turning very well. And at the end, I'm very happy. We work very well. We try something, but at the end we compare, and we not get a big step. But in any case, we have harder today, and for sure we try to prepare the best race.
Which are the plan for tomorrow and with the target of prepare the race?
For sure it's very important to improve the in general the feeling with the bike. We have in some area we have some difficult, especially on the change direction with the brake, and for sure we focus a lot in this area.
Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, thanks, Andrea. A happy Andrea Iannone is going to be a fast Andrea Iannone. That's what we all want to see in the MotoGP World Championship. There's always fireworks when the maniac gets flying. So that's Suzuki, a positive start to the test for them with both their riders inside the top 6. Now, what about KTM? Of course, this time last year they were preparing for their first full-time assault in the MotoGP World Championship. And Pol Espargaro and Bradley Smith really did find their feet in the second half of the campaign. Now, the pre-season in 2018 has been pretty complicated, you have to say, certainly from the side of the Spaniards' garage. Pol Espargaro, of course, missing a day and a half of testing in Sepang after that huge crash on day 2. Missed the whole of the 3-day test in Thailand. So with their number 1 rider sidelined, KTM really have been a little bit on the back foot. So how have they started this week's test in Qatar, Simon?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I didn't get to every garage today, but the thing is, KTM, it's the start of a tough year, you know, because last year they made incredible steps and I think impressed everyone. Those riders are good riders. I don't think they're at a stage in their career where they're going to run with Marc, you know, and if they are, they've got to have the equivalent machinery, and KTM's not quite there yet, in my opinion. And really, it's going to be a tough year, you know, to improve on what they did last year. It's going to be little steps from here, and really, they need, if I was blunt, they need, for example, one Zarco on there, or the equivalent, one of those top few guys, to not just to drag the bike there, and then also the factory learn from that. They know what they have to do, you know, and a lot of that, I think, comes from a rider that's already been there. So they need to buy one of those guys that's already been standing regularly on that podium and to help drag the factory that last step, last couple of steps. And I would love to see that, And I'm not saying either Pol or Brad can't do it, but they need the bike, and it's a little bit catch-22 at the moment.
Oh, well, we just saw some footage there. Of course, KTM, it is one big happy family for the Austrian factory. And welcoming back one key member of that family in Qatar this week was Pol Espargaro. Of course, such a key asset to KTM, quite clearly their number one rider. They need him out on the circuit, getting in crucial development miles on that new RC16. And after that injury, that nasty crash that he suffered on day 2 in Sepang, it was great to see Pol Espargaro back fighting fit at the Losail International Circuit in Qatar this week. And we had the chance to catch up with Pol to find out how his rehab's been going and what he expects from his return to action.
We have missed a little of laps and a little of info from the last 2 tests for sure, but we started in Malaysia, we did just 1 day, and with that day I felt quite okay on the bike, and I felt that we didn't went back home, and for sure to lose that test are not good for us and for the team, especially for the bike, for the development. Luckily, KTM have done really good the job on the organization, and Mika have come really fast to support, the team and to take my place. But I will start from zero. I will give my best, and I will try to improve the bike as fast as I can. I'm happy to be here. I'm quite strong mentally, and I have clear ideas of what I want to do and where I want to arrive. So the only problem is that we have missed a lot of experience on the tracks, and we didn't make any lap in Thailand while all the rest have done a full test. And for the GP it will be for sure a handicap for me and for us, for KTM. But anyway, psychically I cannot be stronger. KTM take care of me really good even if I'm not on the bike, and they were supporting me at home. So I think that is not going to be a problem.
Yeah, great to see Pol Espargaro back in action this week. He was 19th on the opening night in Qatar, breaking himself back in gently after that heavy crash in Malaysia just over 1 month ago. But always great to see a character like Pol back in action. Now, also talking or staying on the theme of KTM, we had the opportunity to catch up with their race boss, Mike Leitner, to find out what the Austrian factory is planning at this crucial final test, with the first race just 2 weeks away.
Mike, welcome to the final test of pre-season 2018. What have you got planned over the next 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, we have quite a big plan because Pol was not in Thailand with us, so he's back now. We are very happy to have him back in the team, and we will see how the things are going when he's on the bike. And yeah, Bradley is doing a good job. And yeah, we have to go through the last items we have on our test schedule and then make a good package for round 1.
We spoke to Pol yesterday about the coming back with not 2 tests under his belt, and is he just starting from scratch completely for this season, or have you picked stuff from Bradley's bike which he can try and everything?
I mean, each rider is individual. Also, the riders are always different in the small things on setting. So, actually, he will go on the bike like he went off, So, and continue from there to work.
And we saw some major aerodynamic updates in both Sepang and Thailand. Is there anything else that we can expect this weekend?
No, we're still working on chassis parts, on small engine parts. We work on aerodynamic, and then we have to make the line and say, okay, this is how we will start the season. And yeah, it will be really tough program. And here with the track condition also, at the beginning always the track is quite dirty from the sand and everything. So it will take a while that we really can go in the test program.
Thanks a lot.
Always interesting to hear the thoughts of Mike Leitner. Yet another very busy test ahead for KTM. A very busy test and a very important test, as always, for Michelin. They're here trying to get crucial information ahead of their tyre allocation for the opening Grand Prix in Qatar on March the 18th. And let's not forget, during this final winter showdown, the final hour of night 3 in Qatar will be dedicated exclusively to a special wet tyre test. The circuit will be artificially soaked by about 18 to 20 trucks. The riders will then be asked to go out and evaluate to see whether it's a viable and safe option should we get the unlikely event of rain in Qatar, whether we could actually have the Grand Prix take place. Now, as always, to find out exactly what Michelin are up to behind the scenes in terms of their allocation for this test, their thoughts for the first race, and some insight into that wet test, we caught up with Michelin Motorsport Director Piero Taramasso.
This track is quite difficult for us because sometimes you have some sand on the track. With the sand, it's more abrasive, so the wear of the tire is more important compared to the other track. Also, you have the level of humidity. You never know at which time it's coming down, so it makes the track more slippery. So the tire, not only you need the grip, you need the durability, you need good performance when it's humid or not, good warm up. So it's quite complicated for us. We came with 3 front tire and the 3 rears. The front soft and medium. Those are compounds that we know from last year, and also all the riders, the teams, they know quite well. And the third specification, the hard one, is a new compound we test in Buriram in Sepang that he gave very good results. So now we propose here to the teams, and then if it works good, we will bring it for the race. Rear tire also we have 3 solutions, soft, medium and hard. The soft, we have a new compound, we target a better performance, a higher grip level. And then the medium and hard are 2 solutions, same that we used last year during the race. Now the race is early compared to last year. We have to see during the test, but I don't think it will affect too much. Usually once the track temperature, reach the top, reach the maximum, and then it stay quite stable for all the session. So we'll see, but I don't think we will have a problem about that.
What about the wet test on the 3rd day? How affects for Michelin?
Yeah, this is new thing. We saw in the previous year the weather is quite unstable, so we can have some rain. For example, yesterday was raining, the day before also. So we have to see. We came with the 2 specifications, the soft and the medium. And the last day of the test we will try to wet the track and do a few laps to understand which one is the best solution.
Yeah, you would think with the Losail International Circuit in the middle of the desert in Doha that the rain would be the least of our worries when the championship starts in 2 weeks' time. But of course, cast your minds back 12 months ago, the start of the opening MotoGP round of 2017 was delayed when rain started to fall on the Qatar venue. So as a result, quite rightly, Race Direction in association with Dorna, the FIM and the International Race Teams Association calling for this special test to see if racing in the rain under the floodlights in Qatar is a viable option. Now, one man who's far better qualified than me to talk about racing or riding under those special floodlights in Qatar is the man on your screens, Simon Crafer. Simon, you've ridden at the Qatar circuit. I'm sure you've ridden it at night as well. What's your feelings about the possibility of a wet Grand Prix? As unlikely as it might sound, do you think it could be a viable option?
Yes, I honestly, I love the idea. It'll be like coming home from the pub in the rain. Riding at night is amazing. Like, that's how I described it to my friends when I first rode the 8 hour in the lights, and it feels faster. The bike feels faster. I don't know if it's just the sensation of riding at night that things feel faster, but the bike feels quicker, maybe air temperature and more power. But rain, I have ridden in the rain at night, and I still like the idea. The thing the riders have to do is see that reflection, see where it is, see if it's a danger, see if they can see the lines, because it's easy to run off track with a bit of spray and reflection, you can't see them. Today I spoke with Mike Webb, the race director, about weather, what's coming, and he said long distance long distance radar says around 12 o'clock tomorrow there's meant to be some rain. Whether it'll swerve off and miss us, he didn't know, but I said to him, hey, you can save some money on some trucks, putting, 60 or 80 trucks to put the water on the track for the last half an hour on Thursday. And he said, no, that's not the point of testing the rain on this track. The point is testing rain at night. So that's why they're choosing the last half an hour to test that on Thursday, wet the track, and anyone that wants to go out needs to have a look in case it's wet for the race. But as far as your question, do I think it should? I would love to see it. It's another amazing test for the riders, and I would rather see a dry race. But if it's wet, yeah, I think it should go ahead, long as they've done this test and made sure it's safe.
As always, Simon. The wet test, of course, that's for 2 nights' time. Let's draw our attention again back to tonight's action on the circuit. And Bradley Smith, as you can see there, he's kindly coming to join us for an interview live in Qatar. Over to you guys.
Okay, Bradley. First day of test here at Losail. Which were your feelings after riding on both in the sunny and dry conditions, and then more cold than night?
Yeah, obviously I was one of the first guys to start on track today. We knew it was going to be a long day. We had some things that takes time to change, so I had to start early and make sure I used all the time available to us. I'm quite happy with what we were able to do and achieve for day one. Towards the end of the day, we found a more consistent rhythm in 56s, also on old tyres, so I was happy about that. And yeah, I mean, if we look at the lap time, it's I think 1.3 from the top guys, so that looks like better than in the first test there in Malaysia, and also in Buriram as well, because Buriram's quite a short track and it still was 1.1. So I think for day one it's not so bad. From the lap times of all the other guys though, they're all going particularly very fast. So we need to find a little bit of pace tomorrow to try to go into the 55s. And yeah, about the track conditions, it certainly got a little bit colder when the night time came. We moved from the medium tyres to the soft tyres, and still everything was working okay. So I think tomorrow will give us a better indication about which tyre we can potentially use for the race. From what I understand, the test allocation here is the same for the race, so at least we can do the correct work in the right way. And yeah, there's still some things that I want to try, with the bike. But yeah, from the tyre point of view, no problems.
The race will be in 15 days here in this track. Are you ready, or do you have to work in some areas? Which ones to be full ready for the race?
We'll be as ready as we can be. We're going to work really hard the next 2 days that we have, and also the remaining 2 days for the GP, because Friday and Saturday, it's still work days before the race on Sunday. Right now we're not where we want to be from the lap times, so we still have to improve those areas, but yeah, we're doing the best that we can, and we're making progress, and that's all I can ask for from the team and from myself.
Thank you, Bradley.
Yeah, thanks to Bradley Smith live there in Qatar, and I think right on cue, very, very shortly, we should be hearing from his teammate Pol Espargaro as well. It was one place higher than Bradley Smith. I think, judging from what Bradley was saying there, quite clearly KTM have made progress throughout last year on that 2017 RC16. As we look at Pol Espargaro now, you can see him coming to join us live in Qatar. Let's see what Pol thought about the opening night.
Well, Paul, important day for you after missing the last test. Which were your feelings?
So. I mean, it's so good to be here again and so good to ride the bike again. But unfortunately, I don't feel still ready enough to continue riding, I think, tomorrow, because yeah, I could do some laps today. I ride quite a lot, but yeah, I'm not on the shape, and I cannot ride as I normal ride. And you know, I have something clear is that we need to develop the bike to do a good bike. And right now, I think I'm not the Pol I'm used to be. And it's you know, it's good to try. I was able to make some laps, but I'm not riding well. So I prefer that Mika, you know, tomorrow will ride for me and will replace me. And then day 3. It depends how I wake up tomorrow. I will decide what to do, but I think Mika tomorrow is going to do a better job than me. So sometimes it's good to, you know, to fall a little bit apart and to help them in another way, and we'll see.
So that means that tomorrow you are going to work on the box alongside Bradley and Mika?
Yeah, I will try to help as much as I can. I will be on the track, looking the others, just trying to find some tips to help my teammates and to improve the bike. And I think, you know, this is a team, and we are in a situation now that we need to improve the bike. And if I'm not on the shape to improve the bike, I cannot be egoist because it's going to go against me. So yeah, I think Mika tomorrow is going to do a better job than me and on the bike, and I will be out of the bike trying to help all the team if they need something. And day 3 I will try again if I feel ready and good, and I will see.
Must be difficult to take a decision like that, but it's like physical pain or is not physical?
Yeah, the problem is it's been just 2 weeks from the surgery, you know, and normally the rehabilitation starts after 2 months, and you know, I feel weak in the zone of the abdomen and on the back, and then I need to use all the other muscles to control this part. And unluckily or unfortunately, I wear 2 weeks, you know, lie on the bed, so the other muscles are not ready to support this pressure. So, you know, I feel weak. I cannot brake. I'm stressed on the bike, and I cannot ride as I know. So, yeah, it's not safe for me, and also I'm not riding as I want to ride. So for me, it's useless, and yeah, I cannot be egoist, and I need to think for the team, and this is the most intelligent option.
Thank you, Pol, and get well soon.
Yeah, I can echo the sentiments there of Jorge Espino's, our interviewer. Get well soon, Pol Espargaro. Great job, Jorge. Breaking news then coming out of Qatar. Pol Espargaro still recovering from that huge crash on day 2 at the opening test in Sepang. The breaking news, not good news, unfortunately, for the KTM man. He has decided to sit out tomorrow's track action. His place will be taken by the KTM test rider Miguel Calio. So you have to say there's possibly some doubt about whether we'll see Pol Espargaro on track at all throughout these remaining 2 nights. Of course, his key goal now will be to try and recover as much as close to 100% fitness as he can for that opening round in Qatar in just 2 weeks' time. We should emphasise, actually, that crash that Pol had a month ago in Sepang was probably one of the biggest he's had in his entire career. A 250-kilometre crash at turn number 4. He's had surgery in the intervening month, and as he said, he still can't feel comfortable on the bike. And when they need Pol Espargaro out there pushing as hard as he can to get crucial development information on that RC16, well, he's just burning fuel and burning up tyres. So a brave decision by Pol Espargaro to sit out, certainly night 2 in Qatar. But it sounds like, Simon, based on what we just heard from him, the right one. It makes no sense to take any more risks, and certainly no sense when you're trying to assess new parts and develop a new motorcycle to be doing so if you're way, way below 100% fitness.
Like everybody here right now, Matt, they're fully focused on the race and whatever it takes to be as good as possible for that. And I totally understand his decision. Pol and Aleix, those Espargaro brothers, are extremely hungry, driven guys. There's no way, no question that if he could ride and make progress in the next days without damaging anything, that he wouldn't do it. You know, you know what I'm saying. I fully believe that they'll just take some time off. He's got some laps on the track and be prepared as he can for the race, which is what everybody is doing here for this test.
Yeah, tough task then for KTM and for Pol Espargaro. We wish him well, and hopefully he can recover his full fitness very, very shortly. Now, last year, of course, KTM had 2 new bikes, and 2 new riders, and that's the case, or certainly 2 new riders down in the Avintia Ducati garage this year, with Tito Rabat moving from the Estrella Galicia Marc VDS squad, and Xavier Simeon, one of 5 rookies now moving up from Moto2 to join the Spanish rider in that Reale Avintia Ducati squad. So how's New Life treating the pair on a Ducati?
At the end of the last year, I feel that I need a change, and I'm quite happy for the change and with a lot of energy for start the season, very motivated.
It's a good opportunity for me. Change category after 7 years, it's good. When I arrived in the team, I had a very warm welcome, so this is, I think, very good for me. Coming in the Reale Avintia, I think it's good because the team is very good and the guys working very well.
I'm knowing the bike every time more and more, and for the moment we have enough work to do for know the bike, the settings, everything.
At the moment, I think looks like we were in the team for many years, but for me it's completely new. But I have the chance that I speak very good Spanish, so the communication with the team is very good. It's good to have Tito as a teammate because he's coming from 2 difficult years in MotoGP. Now I think he's happy to step on the Ducati, and he's showing during the test that he was fast. So for me it's good because I try to learn about him. I'm watching all his data. I try to ask him also some advice, and yes, Tito give me the advice like normal, no?
With Xavier, the relation is quite good, and we are making it good. We are enjoying, and it's good for the moment. Very good. Now looking forward start the first race.
It's always good to hear the thoughts there of Tito Rabat. He's had that big smile on his face ever since he first jumped on that Ducati back in Valencia last November. Now, as we said, Xavier Simeon, one of 5 rookies moving up from Moto2 into the MotoGP World Championship this year. And we know also there's been some big moves in the rider market for 2019. Maverick Viñales already confirmed on a new 2-year contract with the factory Yamaha team. Reigning world champion Marc Marquez, we heard from him and Honda team manager Alberto Puig earlier on about his new 2-year deal. Now there'll be another hot young star moving up to MotoGP from Moto2 next year as well, in the shape of Italian Pecco Bagnaia. Of course, he was so impressive in his rookie year in Moto2 last year on that Sky VR46 Kalex machine. Simon, Pecco Bagnaia certainly looks like a real young hot talent, a star for the future. Your thoughts on his MotoGP move in 2019?
That's really exciting, and it's good to see another Italian coming through, you know, especially at the end of Veli's years. You know, the first year is always really hard. Same for all of the rookie guys. He's another, you know, super talent, isn't he? You know, like you said, rookie year, and wow. So I'm hoping, and obviously the people that have hired him are, and the whole Italian community, that's for sure, that he can make the same sort of step in MotoGP, you know, because it's not always guaranteed. It's a big risk, you know. Like, I remember doing it myself. Guys, either it's sink or swim, you know, and you know, he like I said, he's a super talent, so he's a very good chance, and he's going to have some good support behind him, so fingers crossed for him.
Academy rider making the move in the future up to the MotoGP World Championship. Pecco Bagnaia actually has been pretty impressive so far in winter testing in Moto2, getting in crucial miles in southern Spain in Jerez. We can see some footage of him now actually on that Kalex chassis. He will definitely be one of the main contenders for the 2018 Moto2 world title. Pramac Ducati, of course, moving in the market early to sign Pecco Bagnaia, because they know that Danilo Petrucci, he will not be a Pramac Ducati rider in 2019. Any more information or news, Simon, on what Petrucci's up to? And talking actually more about the factory Ducati team, it's been a positive start today, certainly for Andrea Dovizioso, second on the timesheets, less than half a tenth behind Maverick Viñales, and Jorge Lorenzo looking much more like the Jorge Lorenzo we know and I've become accustomed to seeing after that terrible time he had in Buriram. The two factory Ducatis looking on the money.
You know, like I said in the Thai test, I was confident that Lorenzo could turn up here and at least feel comfy, you know, not like he did in Thailand, and he's got off to a good start at least today. I don't know what happened in Thailand, but I'm sure he's hoping he doesn't have one of those glitches this year at all, because we all know what he can do when he's comfy and happy. Yeah, Dovi's going well. I got, as always, you know, he's consistently there now. I got to catch up with Petrucci for the first time ever today. Got to chat with him, and I went in there cap in hand to meet him, and he's as nice as he comes across on the TV. And the first thing he says is, "Simon, I was 7 years old when when I won." You know, he's an absolute gent. You know, you can't help but be a fan of how he is. He seemed quite happy about how things were going today, but I think it wouldn't have mattered really where he was on the screen, because today's one of those days where it's more of a shakedown and the real work starts in the next couple of days.
It was a good day for the factory Ducati team. Runner-up last year, Andrea Dovizioso, second behind Viñales. Jorge Lorenzo back on his A game in 5th place. And I think we can very, very shortly hear from last year's runner-up, Andrea Dovizioso. He'll be talking live in Qatar to our on-site reporter Jorge Espargaro. I think he's just, by the looks of it, carrying out a few other media duties right now, so we'll just hang fire until we know actually it's our microphone that's tucked under the chin of Andrea Dovizioso, but he'll be pretty happy. A positive start to this test for the Italian. As we said, just half a tenth behind the pace of Maverick Viñales. Here we are then, Andrea Dovizioso live in Qatar.
Losail, which positive points do you have after this first day?
The positive things is the lap time come quite easy. That is very, very important. Apart of that, we already compared the new fairing. It was one of the most important things. We have to compare again, like in Thailand, in a completely different track, with a different temperature, and it was very important to have the right feedback to take a decision and to know more which kind of fairing we will use in the first round and during the season.
Which are your thoughts about the fairings?
Positive and negative, like always. So it's not easy, but we have to take this in a positive way, because sometimes we can have an advantage for sure.
Thank you, Andrea. Italiano. Pues que estamos en directo y ahora se van.
Yeah, thanks to Andrea. What is it about second place in Qatar for Andrea Dovizioso? So second place on the timesheets tonight. Second place the last 3 years behind Jorge Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi and Maverick Viñales in the Grand Prix. Now, one man who was certainly faster on track than a man faster than getting to our studio in Barcelona. I'm delighted to say, actually, my colleague, after a pretty arduous trip from a snow-hit UK, Steve Day. Better late than never, Steve. Well, thankfully you have been able to join our live coverage of this after the flag session. Caught your breath yet?
Just about, yeah. Sorry I'm late. I've just been in Barcelona all day enjoying the tapas now. I'm just joking. It's been a bit of a tough day, but pleased to be here at last.
Well, good to see you have finally arrived, Steve. And Steve's arrival on site means we can thank Simon Cray for on-site. Absolutely outstanding job, Simon. Great to see you on the ground back in the paddock. We can't wait to hear more thoughts from you over the next 2 days and, of course, throughout the 2018 MotoGP World Championship. You've whetted our appetite brilliantly tonight. Great job.
Thank you, Matt. It's super good to work with you, and I'm extra happy to be back in the paddock. You know, it feels like home. And Steve-O, welcome back. Good to hear your voice.
Thanks, Simon. Cheers, mate.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, so Simon off for some much-needed R&R back in the hotel after a really busy opening day of action for him in Qatar. Steve, great to see you. We haven't seen each other actually since the final round of the championship in Valencia, so always good to catch up, mate. Maverick Viñales, you've been covering the Malaysia and the Thailand test from the office here in Barcelona, and he struggled. Today, you must be pretty happy to see him back on top of the timesheets. We know that the Yamaha works well in Qatar, but it seems like Maverick's got back in the groove.
Yeah, from a neutral point of view, I think we always want to see riders that are struggling on the first two tests to pick it up again. And Maverick's face, well, you've seen it because you were interviewing him a lot of the time. He wasn't looking too happy. And from a neutral perspective, I'm delighted to see that not only Maverick, but Valentino looks a lot happier as well. They are going to start off on the back foot, I think it's fair to say, this season, because Honda have made a massive leap forward. But yeah, from a neutral point of view, I think I'm relieved more than anything. You know what it's like in the commentary box? We want to see everybody going at each other. But for sure, I'm pleased to see Maverick back up there. And maybe Jorge has got a bit of a smile back on his face as well.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, Maverick Viñales in top of the timesheets today. It was P1 2 weeks ago in Thailand for Dani Pedrosa. P11 for the Spanish rider today. A very eventful return to the track for Pedrosa in Qatar. 2 crashes. We saw some footage of a damaged Repsol Honda coming back to the garage early on. Looked like a very big second crash for Dani Pedrosa. But I'm delighted to say we can now go to Qatar to hear his thoughts at the end of a pretty troublesome first night.
Danny, a couple of crashes for you today, but some good pace. First of all, are you okay? And what happened in the crashes?
Yes, today, the first day here, we start well, and we did quite a good runs for the first day, because the track always here is a little bit dirty. Unfortunately, yes, I had a crash, and it was in turn 2. We know this place is very tricky, and maybe the condition was changing. I don't know exactly what happened, but I lost the front very, very fast. So yeah, it's a place to take a little bit care, but you know, this is the feeling on the bike for the first day at this track was good.
And what can you tell us about the plan for tomorrow? Are we going to see the aerodynamic update out again in force?
For tomorrow, still we need to go more a little bit on the setting and see how is the track improving, and then which are the tires. This track is more difficult to know, because day by day is changing a little bit the condition. So we need to first go and do more laps.
Thanks a lot, Danny.
Yeah, thanks to Dani Pedrosa. Good to see Danny relatively unscathed from those 2 crashes today. Not the first, and certainly not the last top rider to crash at turn 2. It's a tricky, tight left-hand hairpin, that second corner. Certainly when the temperatures are dropping as the night falls in, and as the humidity goes up and that dew starts to rise on the surface, it can be a corner that catches out the very best. Cashing minds back to the race 1 year ago in Qatar. Johan Zarco, on his debut in MotoGP, leading that opening Grand Prix before he exited stage left at that tricky turn 2. But I suppose the most positive news of a tricky first day, Steve, in Qatar for Dani Pedrosa, who we're looking at now on screens, is the fact that he's okay. The worst possible scenario is now is you get hurt 2 weeks before the first race.
Well, yeah, especially with Dani's reputation in the past as well. I mean, every Dani Pedrosa fan, if they hear that he's crashed the test before the first Grand Prix, they're all keeping their fingers crossed, aren't they? He's not bounced well in the past, so it is brilliant to see that he's okay, even if his bike needs a little bit of patchwork.
Yeah, I'm not sure that one's going to buff out for the Repsol Honda mechanics. Yeah, that looked like a pretty heavy crash. Turn 2, not the fastest crash you can have in Qatar, but once that bike digs into the gravel trap and the foot peg maybe digs in, you can see that bike has taken quite a few rolls in the gravel. Well, 2 weeks ago in Thailand, what happened to Jorge Lorenzo? Quickest at the first test in Malaysia, looking really, really good on the new Ducati GP18. And then he was 21st, not even inside that top 20 in Buriram. Smile should be back on the Spanish rider's face tonight. 5th quickest, 2 factory Ducatis inside the top 6 today. And I think we can go live now to Qatar. We can, to hear Jorge's thoughts.
Well, Jorge, what changed from Buriram to Losail in just 1 week, 2 weeks?
The track, mainly the track. Probably in Buriram I try, but doesn't work for the moment. I hope when we will come back for the race, I will be much better. But I needed more time than the rest to be competitive. Here in a track, it's not new, and I know completely everything went back more or less to the normality, and I could stay more or less in the top 3, top 5 during all the day. Also, I was leading the session for 2 hours, but finally Probably we struggle a little bit more with low temperatures, with more humidity. I struggle more to be competitive than the rest of the riders. When we have to understand why, but when the track is more or less warm, I'm competitive again.
It's been an up and down pre-season, but thinking about the first race, are you confident? Are you ready?
Well, as I saw today, it was a matter of track. That Buriram for the moment is not the perfect track for me. We will try to change the situation for the race. But in Qatar again, I felt quite well finally and again, and we just struggled in the last few minutes of the day.
What about the fairings? Did you have any decision?
Still not clear. We need to investigate more.
Thank you, Jorge.
Yeah, thanks to Jorge's there, our interviewer Jorge Espinos and Jorge Lorenzo. No surprise perhaps that Jorge back on his mojo tonight. He has the most successful winning record of the current MotoGP riders in Qatar. 6 wins in his Grand Prix career under the Losail International Circuit floodlights. But I suppose, Steve, the performance of him tonight just adds more question marks about Buriram and why he struggled so badly. I mean, he was in unbelievable form in Malaysia, looked untouchable there, and then to go to Buriram where it went so horribly wrong. There's going to be a lot of relief faces in the Jorge Lorenzo camp and Ducati that he's back on his A game tonight.
Well, I think everybody, when they looked at Buriram on paper, thought this is Ducati all over. It's a bit like Qatar, it's a bit like Mugello. I was shocked actually that Jorge was struggling so much, and it will be a problem, but I think, like you just heard Jorge say there, by the time we get to Buriram, which is, October in the year, he's going to be hoping that he's all firing by then. The confidence is up, and maybe they'll have found a setting that's really comfortable for him. But it was, mind-boggling what was going on over in Buriram. And I'm sure the Lorenzo fans were starting to think, oh dear, what's going on? But luckily, he comes to Qatar. I mean, it's no surprise when you look at the top 5, is it, on the time screens today. They're all riders that are notoriously good at the Qatar circuit. So I'm sure he's pretty relieved to get under the night lights again.
Yeah, it was good to see then Jorge Lorenzo bringing some of his form that he showed in Malaysia back to the table here tonight in Qatar. Not such an easy start to proceedings for the factory Aprilia team. Of course, they're still waiting on the arrival of a new engine, the RSGP, still under development for Scott Redding and Aleix Espargaro. Aleix Espargaro actually slower of the 2 Aprilia men on circuit tonight. So what did he have to say about his opening night in Doha?
Aleix, productive first day for you on the first day of the final test of pre-season 2018?
Yeah, feeling a bit better than in Thailand. Struggling a little bit in the last part of the day, but definitely better feeling than on Thailand. I feel great with the bike. We just made an installation day, trying a couple of things, retrying the new 2018 bike, the new unit that we received here. Everything looks that it works good, and tomorrow is going to be the day to keep discovering new settings to improve the bike.
Can you give us any specifics about what this type of things you're going to be testing on the bike tomorrow?
Yeah, basically we have to improve the rear grip, because it's very important to have rear good grip for a long distance. We know that here in Qatar the difference between the fast lap and the race pace is quite big, so trying to find a good compromise on the race distance, and also I'm curious to try the new Carbon 4 that we didn't try today, and keep going.
Thanks a lot, Aleix. And in Spanish.
Yeah, keep going indeed. Sounds like Aleix Espargaro is going to be a pretty busy man at this final test in Qatar. 17th on the final timesheets. Doesn't look that great, does it? But MotoGP, so close and so intense yet again. Aleix Espargaro finished today just 1 second off the best pace set by Maverick Viñales. Now, we alluded to the fact that it was a good start to proceedings in Qatar for the factory Ducatis of Andrea Dovizioso. Second on the timesheets. Teammate Jorge Lorenzo 5th. It was also a good start on the GP18 for Danilo Petrucci, who was inside that top 10. And here's what he had to say about his performance on day 1.
Danilo, final test of 2018 pre-season. What have you been up to today?
Sincerely, I'm quite happy of the situation of today, because we didn't move the setup a lot from Thailand, so almost nothing. And we have been quite fast since the beginning, so without using a soft tire at the end. I think we are quite close to the top position. We had a problem around 8 o'clock, so we decided to quit for today. Maybe we start earlier tomorrow, because I think after 8 o'clock the humidity is getting higher and higher, and is quite dangerous. But anyway, I'm really happy because we didn't move the setup a lot from Thailand and from Sepang, so the bike is very fast, and I like a lot this bike.
And what can you tell us about the plan for tomorrow? Anything in particular you want to test?
For tomorrow we have to decide the fairings, so it's an important test because we have to decide which fairing will be homologated for the season. So it would be important. At the moment today I ride only with the standard one, and the situation was quite good, but as I told you, we didn't move the setup because we still don't know in which direction goes. So loading more the front or the rear, we are quite on the limit, so we have to understand in which direction go. But at the moment we are quite fast, so we can stay calm.
Thanks a lot, Danilo.
Yeah, thanks as always to Danilo Petrucci, giving an interesting insight as always. What I took from that interview, the most important thing was the fact that GP18 has worked for him in Malaysia, in Thailand, and now in Qatar. 3 different circuits, 3 different conditions, and he's hardly having to make any tweaks to the setup at all. So it looks like Petrucci and the GP18 certainly in a good place. One man who's been in a good place pretty much since he first jumped on a MotoGP bike, that's Johann Zarco, the former double Moto2 world champion. Of course, 12 months ago on a sensational MotoGP debut in Qatar, led for the first 6 laps before unfortunately he had that crash at turn 2. 4th fastest on the timesheets tonight for the Flying Frenchman, and here's what he had to say.
Johan, final test of 2018 pre-season. How's your day been, and what's the plan for the rest of the test?
Happy about first day. It's more complicated than in Malaysia or even than Buriram, because when you go on the track you feel the rear tire drops down quicker and than on the other track. So it makes the work a bit more difficult, but I'm happy that I've been competitive, and it's good for the confidence. Now we would like with the team work on this rear grip to have a better feeling from the first lap. I mean, not from the first lap, but from the 5th lap to the end of the race.
And what's the plan for what other things can you be working on tomorrow? Are there any extra upgrades from Yamaha which you could tell us about?
I think it's nothing special from Yamaha. Just need to understand a better balance for the bike to feel happy on it during 20 laps.
Thanks a lot. And again in French.
Another great night then for Johann Zarco, 4th fastest. Just over 1/10 of a second he was behind the factory Yamaha of Maverick Viñales. The factory Yamaha team, they will actually be quite relieved. They've struggled to match the times and performance of Zarco so far in the 2 winter tests in Malaysia and Thailand. These are some footage earlier on of Johann Zarco. Steve, we're big fans of the Frenchman. I've seen nothing in this winter testing program so far to suggest that he is not going to be on the top step of the podium this year. I think he's got a great shout of being Tech 3's first ever MotoGP winner.
It looks that way, doesn't it? We were sort of waxing lyrical at the end of the year. I know that you and Nick in the box last year were, and in Valencia test we were hoping it was going to be this way, and so it's proven. It's been fantastic to see. He's an icon, isn't he, now? He's another one. You're getting to see these sort of Johann Zarco hats everywhere. The merchandise is being sold. Everyone's a big fan, and how can he not be? Interesting there that he said about getting the times there sorted and getting some feel from lap 5 onwards. Of course, he didn't actually complete that many laps in Qatar this time last year, but he's got to be a massive threat, and the factory boys are worried about him. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Johann Zarco was going to be another incredible performance from him you would expect throughout 2018. Well, that's just about it on the night and day 1 in Qatar. Very, very shortly we'll be having a look at the final standings. Maverick Viñales making a welcome return to form on that movie star factory Yamaha. Race winner in Qatar 1 year ago, 1:55.053, only 0.7 of a second actually away from his best time in the test 1 year ago. Dovizioso second for the last 3 years here in Qatar in the race, second on the time she's ahead of the Andrea Iannone, impressive on the factory Suzuki. Zarco, who we just heard from there, in 4th. Lorenzo back to his old self there in 5th place, ahead of Aleix Rins. 2 Suzukis inside the top 6. That bodes well for 2018. Valentino Rossi 7th. Danilo Petrucci happy in 8th. Cal Crutchlow, the top Honda, in 9th place. Perhaps not what we were expecting from Honda on the opening night in Qatar. Crutchlow was just ahead of reigning world champion Marc Marquez. Didn't all go swimmingly under the floodlights tonight in Qatar for HRC's Marc Marquez and Danny Pedrosa. We'll see the pair of them very shortly. Yeah, there is Marquez. The best he could do, a mid 155, a 155.545 from the world champion, of course, who's just re-signed a new contract with HRC. 2 crashes for Danny Pedrosa in 11th place, ahead of Jack Miller, who's been outstanding throughout winter testing. Alvaro Bautista in 13th. Taka Nakagami, their top rookie again, in 14th. Kudos to the Japanese rider. Scott Redding leading the Aprilia charge in 15th. He was just ahead of Tito Rabat. And Aleix Espargaro there in 17th place. A busy opening night for the Spanish rider. A second covering that top 17. Abraham 18th. Pol Espargaro, breaking news in Qatar tonight. He will sit out tomorrow night's test. Mika Kallio will take over testing duties from Espargaro as he tries to recover full fitness from that big crash in the opening test in Malaysia. Bradley Smith 20th. Morbidelli had a crash day 21st. Sire in 22nd. Tom Luthi 23rd. And Xavier Simeon, the Belgian rookie, there in 24th place. So a lot to look forward to with just 2 days and 2 nights remaining of the MotoGP winter testing programme. Maverick Viñales then, as we say, top of the pile, that 1:55.053. That's the early benchmark here under the Losail International Circuit floodlights in Qatar. Many thanks, of course, thanks for joining us wherever you are in the world. Thanks to our team in Doha, particularly to Simon Crave, who's done a sterling job. Many thanks to Steve Day, who finally did make it to Barcelona. We'll be looking forward to more interesting analysis from Steve throughout this test. But all that's left for us to say in Barcelona is that good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Maverick Viñales then, well, he made it a night to remember in Qatar. He was on top spot. See you tomorrow.